Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight on Hercules and the Space Gods, I'm proud to be with fellow investigators, fellow researchers, fellow experiencers, wise people all who will share with you the secrets that they've ferreted out of the universe. And we start with Tim Swartz, the one and only, the legendary. And we have Paul Roberts, who is known far and wide for his skills and his information. And then we have Michael Dunkin, who has approached me over many years for many different efforts, everything from Maitreya's mission to the Sixth Revelation. And now he's bringing new focus to our search for extraterrestrial life in the cosmos. And then Carol Gonzalez. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Greetings.
Hello.
We're going to start, as we always do, with Tim Swartz, because he always gives a vast vista and a lot of helpful and generalized information that helps frame everything that comes after. So I don't know if that's one of his psychic talent. That's it.
Well, Hercules, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Our topic tonight is why do we think that the extraterrestrials, I think that's the way you put it, are here?
Yes.
So I'll just start by basically blowing it all out of the water by saying, are we sure it's extraterrestrials? You know, and what exactly do you mean by extraterrestrials? Now, if you're talking about the traditional, astronauts from other planets visiting Earth in physical spaceships, then I would have to say that I think the jury's still out, really, on whether or not that is happening. I'm not saying that it hasn't, and it's still occurring, but there is just so much high strangeness, when it comes to looking at this type of phenomena. Because, I mean, you well know that long before the modern UFO era, people were communicating with alleged extraterrestrials through channeling, mediumship, automatic writing, the old-fashioned versions of Ouija boards. You have it. If they weren't communicating with spirits of the dead, then it was the extraterrestrials who came in offering their bits of wisdom. And then of course you have people like Emanuel Swedenborg, who, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think that he actually claimed personal encounters with extraterrestrials. He just said that there are a lot of them out there. And I don't remember.
He wrote a whole book on it.
He had,
Oh,
yeah, he
several.
had personal.
Yeah,
Several.
He had
personal
I'm
encounter.
sorry. He claims to have had personal interactions with angels in heaven, in the material, the middle world, and hell, in heaven and hell.
Well, and that kind of brings up another point, is that this kind of a slash identification with extraterrestrials as angels or spiritual beings. Once again, are we talking about physical astronauts coming to visit us, or extraterrestrials in a lot broader term? Because I think the universe is probably a lot more different than we are able to perceive right now with our four-dimensional a mind and body in this reality. It's hard, it's almost impossible for us to see beyond that. And I think that some of these encounters that we're talking about actually come from higher dimensions. Um, Again, does that technically mean extraterrestrial? you know, but besides that long rambling point, Hercules, why are they here? It's not a situation, I think, where they just showed up as a lot of the nuts and bolts UFO people think at the end, by around the end of World War II, because we were exploding atomic weapons, and they were like, what the hell is that? And came to investigate. No, this intelligence has been with us, I think, right from the very beginning, and could actually be like us, maybe a part of this planet, or at least the the space around it. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think that the extraterrestrials could be very much a part of us as we are part of them. Now, that does this, I mean, does this mean that this is only occurring on planet Earth? No, I don't think that. In fact, I think that when the time comes far in the future, when our physical astronauts do travel to another solar system and find another intelligent life, probably one of the first questions that they are going to have is, why have you been flying around our skies all these years, with your UFOs, and haven't communicated with us? And these aliens will say to them, us, we thought it was you flying around in our skies. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think that is a situation that you're going to find possibly throughout the universe. Universe is that there is another intelligence, and I'll put an S on the end of that, intelligences that go beyond our what we think of as our physical material reality, that have interacted with us from the very beginning for whatever reasons. All right. A lot of people like to, think that, they're here to teach us and to bring us along in that next evolutionary spiritual step. Could very well be. But there's also a lot of tricksters, with these groups as well. For every encounter that involved what appears to be, like, helpful extraterrestrials concerned about our environment. Here, let's, we're going to do things. You have the tricksters that tell you that they're from Alpha Centauri, and then tell you to bring all of your friends because they're going to make an appearance at the end of the month. And then when all that happens, they never show up, and then you become the laughing stock. So, again, not something that you would expect physical astronauts from other planets to be playing on us, unless, the entire universe is just one big practical joke on us. I think the jury is still out on just what their intentions are in communicating with us and continuously communicating with us. It's whatever is going on, it's a very, very long game. It's a generational game, all right? Because there have been families who have been experiencing this phenomena for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. You generally always find that somebody who may be um,
Mhm.
psychic or have their own encounters will find out that great grandma had the same stuff happening to her, and so on down the line. Uh, which once again, makes me think that at least one aspect of this phenomena is intelligence that exists outside of our 4D world, outside of our time, so that they are able to interact with not only us, but all of our past and maybe even future generations for whatever this long-term goal is. And I do think that there has to be some kind of reason for what this, what this communication is. Um, but I don't think that we're capable right now of understanding that, just because, again, we're trapped in the four-dimensional world. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, Hercules, and let everybody else go in, because I'm sure I just totally confused our audience.
Oh my
No, I,
God.
I actually shed light on a lot of dark corners. And I got so excited about things you're saying, I wanted to jump in. So I
No, no,
apologize for jumping in there. John felt the same way. He wrote Disneyland of the Gods. It's kind of
right.
this is some sort of scam played by some sort of entities for reasons we can't currently understand. But thank you. That was a great umbrella. And now let's fill up what comes under it. And we're going to go to Paul Dale Roberts, who I've gained even more respect for since finding out he's a comic book bro. So,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, I found out Hercules was a big comic book nerd like me. But anyway, oh, this is a great topic. And I think that extraterrestrials and interdimensional type beings
Oh,
are here on Earth observing us. They're watchers. Um, why are they here on Earth? We got resource collection, scientific study. I mean, when we go to the moon, what are we doing? We're studying the moon. And I believe that extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings coming through portals around Earth are doing the same thing. They're doing scientific studies. Um, the abductions, it seems like they're always probing and doing this and doing that. I think they're manipulating our DNA. And the reason why is to make us Homo superior, from Homo sapiens to Homo superior. So we can be right at their level and we can probably join that galactic brotherhood. I think Earth is a way station. It's a stop. Okay, they gas up at the volcanoes. Is like a big gas station to go in and out of volcanoes. The ley lines, they follow the ley lines and they're seen all over the place. Those are energy sources. And they probably have bases here. They fuel up and head out to another planet. I believe also too, they watch our history and how we evolve. They want to know everything about us. They're curious. They don't need to interact with us because we're like lowly ants. It's like that zoo hypothesis. I mean, they watch us, but they don't really need to interact with us unless they need to, like an abduction and manipulating our DNA. What is really interesting is that they had this one abductee, and she said that when she went on board the craft, the aliens actually showed her a hologram of a medieval battle right here on Earth. So it seems to me they're watching our history, something major like Charlemagne or whatever. They're there recording it. And a lot of historical incidents that happen on Earth, UFOs are seen. The Battle of the Bulge, UFOs were seen. A lot of historical places, Vietnam War, UFOs were seen. Foo Fighters, they were seen in World War II. They are here watching our history. And also, too, they have the power, and they've already showed it, to take our nuclear weapons, turn them off, and turn them back on. They're showing us exactly how powerful they are. They monitor our development. They're letting us evolve naturally. They want to watch our temperament. what leads us to war. They monitor our radio and TV signals, all communications, cell phones, computer. They're like the NSA. They're monitoring everything that we do. They want to know all our history. Now, this is what's going to really blow you away. UFOs have been seen at major libraries, and people have seen scanning devices as they hit those libraries. And a spectacular case was a UFO was seen at Palo Alto Library during their grand opening. So I believe that these UFOs, they go to a place like the Library of Congress. They have the technology of, we can scan books. Okay, great. One book at a time. They have the technology of throwing out a huge scan on the whole library and get everything, goes right through the books and everything, and they have all that information. So I think they're here watching us.
And you blew me away with that, and thank you very much. That fills in some of the skeleton that Tim gave us, and now the topic is getting fleshed out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael Duncan.
Oh, hi there, guys. Hey, can you hear me okay? I'm on a speaker phone.
Yes, I can hear you. Can everybody else hear him?
Yes.
I can.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Hercules, for this opportunity, and it's so nice to be with you guys again. Last month was my first time back after a little leave of absence. My wife had not been well for, about a year or so, and then, she just passed away about a month ago. So actually, this is really a great opportunity for me, Hercules, to really kind of re-engage back into life, because I've been in, it's been kind of difficult. It's been almost like a parallel reality of sorts. It's been crazy. But I want you to know, Hercules, Alex has been fabulous.
Oh,
As a
great.
matter of fact, he's been such a dream. He's been such a help. And he, just last night, Hercules, he did some tarot readings for me. And he's really good at it. I'm amazed. He's only 19 and he's going to be graduating high school, but he's really good at tarot and interpretation. He's got he's got a book, Tarot Cards for Dummies, that he refers to, and he just gave me a really nice reading about where Diane is right now, and what she's going through and her experience in the afterlife. And I don't know, it just seemed really spot on to me. So I wanted you to know that you'd be very, very proud of Alex right now. So.
I am proud of him, and we watched him grow up on your show, because Alex hosted his segment where he was sharing what his journey was all about, and everything from fiction to fact, and it ranged the entire.
Yeah.
So yeah, he grew up on your program, and it's great to see him grow up into a fine young person.
Yeah, he's just a sweetheart. Well, hey Tim, I just wanted to say that I don't know, Hercules, if you coined this phrase or if you found it somewhere, but I was going to say, Tim, as far as you were saying, what is an ET? I really liked your what you said, Hercules, calling them the space gods.
I didn't find that. I got that from Space Gods Speak, which is one of Tim Beckley's books. And
okay.
But I liked it. And then Sean wrote an article about me called Hercules and the Space Gods, and I had written something else for that book, I think, called Hercules and the Space Gods, and it stuck. And that's how this show came about after the book.
I really like the term because, it kind of combines a little bit of, the word space kind of makes you think about UFOs and extraterrestrials and sightings and abductions, but the word gods, brings it to the, how these some of these, maybe all of them, are influencing us and helping us. I think it's kind of a cool term.
You were very involved and might still be involved with the Urantia book, as is one of
Yes.
our panelists, Nick Curdo. And I didn't read the whole Urantia book. It's a very vast book, but I read bits and pieces of it, especially that pertain to the Olympians and ancient Greek civilization. And there are space gods in the Urantia book, and they have expectations in terms of our behavior, and we have a purpose here that's stated in the Urantia book, and we have lots of entities who help us, and there are governments and all sorts of things like that. If you want to start with the Urantia book, or you can share your own experiences, either way would be great. But you have a vast storehouse of information on ETs and the purpose here.
That's a tremendous segue, because my whole approach with this topic is from the Urantia book. So yes, so I believe that, and I'm just going to say that I think they are here and they are in our lives for mutual benefit. I'm going to say mutual benefit. Yes, they are here. Like you say, governments. There are so many different beings, so many different levels, so many different heavens, so many different stages of our ascension career, according to the Urantia book. In fact, there are 7 stages. They don't really go into reincarnation a lot. I mean, my wife and I, of course, we were Theosophists, still am, Theosophists, Rosicrucians, and we've studied a lot of the Buddhists and Tao and all that. And we kind of lean toward reincarnation more as like transmigration of the soul type idea. But there are 7 stages, according to the Urantia book, of our mortal ascension career. We start out as planetary mortals, then we become sleeping survivors of that mortal ascension, and then we move on to mansion world as mansion world students, where this mansion world experience of 7 mansion worlds is kind of purgatorial in nature. It kind of purges us of the dross of that mortal experience, so that we can move on to what's called the Morantia worlds, where we develop more of our soul growth, and then we become students or wards in the super universe, and super universe. 7 super universes make up the grand universe. Below paradise, I guess you could say, or the paradise pattern manifested as 7 super universes. And then we go to a place called Havona, a billion worlds of Havona, where we're preparing ourselves for paradise. And then when we make it to paradise on our mortal ascension career, quote unquote mortal ascension career, it's then, if we succeed, then we face the Father or God. In the Urantia book, they call that being the Universal Father, or the first source and center. And what happens, Hercules and everyone, at that point is we have a celebration and we become what are called finalitors. And when we become finalitors, then we are cleared, we are certified to go back down, kind of like a reincarnation of sorts, to go back down into the lower levels and assist the mortals who are ascending on their pilgrim career. So when we ascend, we're ready for service, and we can help those that are ascending. And like I said, that's kind of a mutual benefit of sorts. But in the bigger picture, I'd like to just talk a little bit about the benefit that our local universe father and local universe mother receive when they help us. As Hercules mentioned, there are a lot of Greek influences. I mean, to me, a lot of Greek influences as far as like the administrative structure of of beings and governments in the grand universe. And our local universe is about 10 million inhabitable planets. And the creator and administrator of that local universe is known as a local universe father. And he has a divine co-equal sovereign called the local universe mother. And in the Urantia book, it describes that the local universe father, he had 7 bestowals. He took incarnations in lower levels to gain experience in order to become like the supreme co-sovereign of his local universe. His first bestowal was as a Melchizedek. His second was as a Lananandek, kind of like a ruler of millions of inhabitable planets. His third bestowal was as a material son, kind of like an Adam and an Eve. So there are multiple Adams and Eves in different constellations and local universes and such. His fourth bestowal was as a seraphim. His fifth bestowal was as a mortal on the super universe level. His sixth bestowal was as a mortal on a different world. And then his seventh, which is actually, the seventh bestowal is actually part 4 of the Urantia book. He bestowed himself as Jesus of Nazareth. So in order to gain complete sovereignship of his local universe along with his divine consort, he had to have these bestowals, gain experience, help us, and we in turn help him. So I believe it's for mutual benefit.
Thank you. There is a vast universe to explore in the Urantia book. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Urantia book, with a Cosmon Bible. That is another document that was written in this country that gives a vast overview of the universe, and it tends to reinforce that these beings are celestial in nature. They are the angels, they are the gods of old, they are the elementals and the devas and the planetary spirits, and we have all sorts of terms for them. But they're not just from another planet. They're from higher dimensions. Some of them on our level, and some of them above our level. And according to some cosmology, some of them below our level as well. So we're not at the total bottom like we are in like the Unarius cosmology. Thank you,
Well,
Michael.
that's good. Yeah,
Yes.
you got it.
Thank you.
All right.
And we're going to keep returning back to this topic in subsequent shows. So thank you for opening the door again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Carol. Carol, are you still with us? Okay, we'll move to Setna and we'll return to Carol. Setna.
Hi, I'm sorry I was a little late. We had a little situation here and I couldn't get on. So then all of a sudden, my Wi-Fi got back to normal and here I am. So I apologize. I was feeling a little alien myself, not being able to reach you guys, but here I am. I want to welcome you all to the weekend, I would call it, of Osiris Tide. This is the ascension of the Lord Osiris. After, of course, he was chopped up by his brother Set, which was really miserable, and Isis reassembled him. And this energy form is now his energy, the entity that he became, which is in our traditions is the Lord of Eternity, the kind of the Saint Peter of the Egyptian sect. So I'm sorry about being a little late, as I said, but I will put my energies out there. And I welcome you all to this weekend. Many different traditions, the Christian, the et cetera, have this as a resurrection, reincarnation, resurgence. And I think that the alien energies that we're talking about, we're well aware of these things for a long time. Kind of, we were caterpillars and all of a sudden we've become butterflies. So that's how I look at it, that we've gone through a transformation, or we're going through a transformation. We talk about life and death. Everybody talks about the Egyptians as being obsessed with death. If you know about the real quote unquote Book of the Dead, it's really called the Book of Coming into the Light, night as well as day. And it's really about surviving in the living world, the mortal world, the physical world, and then taking yourself astrally out of your body after you've passed on and moving on into whatever your next dimension is going to be, if it's a being at all. The Egyptians believed, and they still do, we still do, that if one's soul is, I'll call it rotten or miserable, if their energy is so miserably negative, that they don't allow that energy to re-inhabit a body. On the other hand, the energy is used some other way. So how do we know someone like Caligula didn't end up, I don't know, as a AAA battery, you know? And that's what I'm seeing, that energy is, because energy can't be destroyed. Matter does, but not energy. So it has to go somewhere. So if you're a rotten apple, maybe they make you into vinegar, and that's that's kind of where I've been all this time. We've got to use it somehow, so somewhere along the line, all those miserable negative people that are putting out really awful things, well, who knows, maybe they're the negative jumper cable, so they're really helping us, because that energy, the energy isn't bad, it's the way it was used. And I tell that to people about what I call magic. It's the same thing. The energy, the force is not good or bad or indifferent. It's the operator. If you're operating on a negative, to do negative or do harm or do negative things, of course that energy is going to be used that way. It doesn't have a choice. On the other hand, if you put the energy in a positive way and you try to make things happen in a different positive way, well, it goes that way too. And I look at it that way with karma also. So that's how maybe somebody ends up, you know, he's a dictator in, I don't know, Colombia one week and he's a mosquito the next week, and somebody goes bang and they come back again. Maybe it's another mosquito, or maybe this time, a potato chip, but these things change. And I think that, like all of you were saying, a higher force, a God force, created that and that balance. And so we have to respect that. And everybody has different traditions, because I believe different star gods, like space gods, star gods, came to the different parts of the earth in different ways. And they said, okay, you're going to look at it this way. The Tower of Babylon, for instance, that story. So all of a sudden, everybody kept speaking different languages. And we interpret God or the God force or the higher forces in different ways. And I just had a situation with that earlier in the week, where somebody was saying, well, you're a pagan, you're going to go to hell. And I said, well, number one, I don't believe in hell. Number two, you're putting out negative energy, so you probably will. And they're like, oh, no, no, no. I said, well, you're saying that I'm evil. And if you're saying I'm evil, you're putting negative energy out there, so you're going to go to hell. And that's how I feel. So, does anybody else have a thought on that?
Yeah, I've always I've encountered that many times in my life, and I would basically let people know that according to the Olympian mythos and cultism, we're not trying to earn our way anywhere. We're from somewhere and we're coming here to work. So if you're an Olympian, you have a job to do while you're here. And it's pretty much in line with the mythology, like I'm Hercules. So of course I'm focused on heroic endeavors, both privately and socially. The things I've done, I've wanted to topple tyrants and fight monsters. I did that through the human services, through education, and to a lesser degree through politics. So basically, that's what I'm here to do. It's my job. It's a fun job. This is a great planet to be on. It's full of wonderful people such as yourselves, and we have interesting conversations. And there's so much to discover, and so much is hidden and needs to be uncovered. But it is essentially a family business. The human race is something that was created by the Olympian powers of old, and they're responsible for its guidance and evolution. The stories of the gods tell you what to do and what not to do in certain circumstances, most powerfully what not to do, because otherwise bad things happen. And if you don't look at the myths like morality tales, but if you look at them like life advice, they yield a lot more information. And I don't believe the Olympians are here to get worship because, again, they gave us certain practices and institutions in the past that are still with us in Western civilization. And they are still watching over us and can be experienced directly on a variety of different ways. Uh, People have asked me why I stuck with the Olympian gods, and my answer is a little sarcastic, but it's effective. I say, number one, these are the gods of my fathers, even though it was thousands of years ago. And number two, I don't whore after foreign gods. And that's supposed to be a bad thing with a lot of people. So that's what my answer usually is. And yes, it's a bit snarky, but it gives a person something to think about before they judge, something that they don't really understand, they haven't looked into. So that was long-winded in answer to your question.
Okay, well, that's what I felt too, though. I mean, I started out life as a plain old witch. That was where my ancestors were, and that's where my family practice literally was. And something turned me somewhere to the left of Albuquerque. I took a wrong turn and I ended up in Pismo Beach. But what happened was I ended up in the Sahara. I, for some reason, and long ago, I felt the energy first of Isis, Aset, the mother goddess. And then Ra came. And before I knew it, I knew those were my people. That was where my path was. And it was where it was beforehand. And then I discovered this past life, Kamwes, Setna Kamwes. And that enlightened me even more. I knew more and more about where I was going and what I was doing. And I formed my temple with my people. And I found that some people were like-minded, as you do with the Olympians, so I do with what I call the Niteru, which are the Egyptian pantheon, which are very similar, of course.
Yes.
And I took that energy that way. And I don't tell everybody or anybody that my way is the only way, and I don't think anybody else's way is either at all. I think that you know, we're all programmed to do things differently. And it makes it more fun that way. If we all think of different ways of doing things, I think that the world gets more knowledge, more information. What you were saying before about a classroom or dying and coming back, that's what I think. That we are given a kind of a commedia dell'arte script here, an improvisation. You're going to do this in this kind of life. You're going to be this kind of guy or girl or dog or cat or goldfish or what have you. And this is where you're going to be. And you're going to be born in, I don't know, in my case, 1958. Here you go. Go, do it. It's like that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I think that's how our lives are. There's no script. There might be I don't know, a plot scenario. And then they're going to see, well, how do you work it that way? So this is how I've been working it. How about you guys?
I think, like Tim had said earlier, that, we don't know what the aliens are, and we don't know exactly what they're doing or why. But I think a life with aliens in it is much more interesting than a life without aliens. So I'm enjoying that a great degree while I'm here. And if I'm wrong about everything I believe, that's fine. Somebody will show me something different. Yeah, and it'll be, if it makes sense, that's the way I'll look at things till something else comes along to show them to me in an even brighter light. Thank
Well,
you, Michael. Unique in your statements, unique in your interpretations, greatly appreciated. Thank you, my friend.
all I can say is these days, if the aliens don't have their cards and their paperwork, they might get sent back to, I don't know, to El Salvador.
That's an unfortunate part of this reality too.
Yes.
And we'll return to Carol. Carol, are you still there?
Pam is.
Oh, Pam, you're here now. How are you?
Yeah, I've been here. I've been here since the beginning.
Oh, okay, because I asked if it was Carol, and I thought you said yes. I'm sorry, my mistake.
Oh, I saw Carol's email about she had something last minute and couldn't join.
Okay, I wasn't able to look at that. Okay, welcome, Pam. How are you?
Oh, baffled by everything that's going on. Just trying to get through whatever problem is thrown at me, and mostly succeeding. And
Well,
if I fail, I just tear it apart and try again.
that's a wise practice. Never give up. And what are your thoughts on what the mission of the aliens actually is, of the ETs?
Well, I have such a very different perspective from the first three fellows that were on here, and I'm not sure that they would actually believe me when I say I've had actual contact with these aliens all my life. I
Why
have
would
a chip in my neck.
why would they
You
not?
I would
know?
believe you. I would believe you.
Yeah. They put a chip in my neck, and I've been monitored in my entire life. Like, we monitor animals in the wild through various sources, some of them mystery schools. St. Germain has said to Lori Toy, who has the current I Am America Ascension thing going on, that we really need to focus on ourselves rather than whether there are aliens or not. He said there are, but their mission is not much in alignment with what we think it is. So he's just going to leave us guessing, I suppose. I guess what he says is that we need to focus on us more than we need to focus on UFOs. What I know is, I'm into science fiction a lot, as Hercules knows. It's how we got our connection through a friend of ours, Bob Bossler. And in one episode of Next Gen, there were grays, and I went into a panic attack. And if they're not real, then I went into a panic attack for nothing. I've since resolved that kind of reaction, but it was an unexpected reaction to me. And they used to take me out through an attic wherever I lived. And I was always afraid to go into attics until I realized that in talking with Dr. David Jacobs, who developed the test for separating real experiences from false ones, they were taking me out. And they were doing it through attics, and I didn't ever want to go up into an attic. And my parents couldn't understand it. Nobody could. Even me, I didn't understand it until through hypnosis, the auto hypnosis kind where you're aware of what you're saying. I learned that was what was going on. And personally, what can I do about it? I can try to wear the silly silver hats and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean anything to them. Obviously, if I'm chipped, they're going to monitor me. Every now and then, I know, they try to send false dreams to me, but being a telepath, I know what they are, and I know where they're coming from, and I'm not afraid of them. I just don't like being messed with, And I'm sure the animals that we track in the wild and stuff don't like being messed with either. But what are they going to do about it? They can't take the chip out. But we learn a great deal about them, and a lot of things that we learn about them, we learn about ourselves as well. And so that's useful. I first realized my UFO experience was one night outside my home about 3 miles outside Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, when I actually saw one of the ships. And we lost some time, but nobody figured it out. And they say if you see one, you've probably been on one. So some of the people I've met in my life actually share experiences. My housemate Mary, she was on the same ship that I was on. And we named our dolls after each other, ironically. So I've had experiences with that. Now, as to whether they're just alien ships, I'm with, I forget the name of Tim Swartz. I'm with the first guy here.
Tim Swartz is
Some
here.
of them I think are ours, because I've got John Keel's free energy book, and in it there's diagrams of creating these things, say back in the 1920s and probably even before that. And I think that there possibly could be, it's just a hypothesis, a secret society on Earth that works with the aliens to monitor our evolution as a human race. It's a hypothesis. I can't prove it, but it's out there. Canada also has spaceships. I have something in my library here that indicates just that they have, since World War II, they've been using the free energy. But again, nobody says anything about it, and it's not on the midnight news or World News Tonight with David Muir. So we have to look to the stories that are being told through science fiction to get us used to different types of intelligentsia. And I think the media is where the most effect the aliens will have. Because now we have science fiction conventions, we do cosplay, we're sort of, I don't know, getting in harmony or being in harmony with different intelligences. And the IDIC from Star Trek, Infinite Diversity and Combinations, is such a democratic concept that it makes you wonder what concepts they're really showing us. We learn a lot through stories, we humans, and they're more acceptable to us sometimes than the truth. And I want to segue into a new book that I was just told about, and I have. It was a manuscript by H.P. Blavatsky, and it's called The Land of the Gods, and it describes in story form her visit to Shambhala. Shamefully, I read the first 2 pages and fell asleep, but it was a long day anyway. But I intend to read it, and the person who found it in 2015 said she didn't feel that humanity was ready to read about this just yet. And compared to then, like the 1880s and 1890s, where we are now, I'm wondering why we even published it now, because things seem to be even worse. And her experience with Hitler using some of her stuff to promote his agenda, well, she didn't sit well with that at all. But what is she going to do, right? It was out there, and he found it and turned it to his own kind of perspective. And I think that's why this, The Land of the Gods, wasn't published at that time, in order to prevent something like that from happening again. Well, guess what? It appears to be happening. And as long as mankind has negative energy, there are going to be negative people coming up to express those things and make us aware that we have some work to do as a human race. And I also noted that the medieval battle that was told, I forget by which one of you, there are paintings that they have found that have spaceships in them. So I found that very curious indeed. So I use various sources, you know, and including myself. And I know I haven't published a book or got a certificate like they do nowadays, because I grew into the astrology stuff and the esotericism without ever having access to any kind of degree or paranormal degree like they do now. And they only started that back in the mid-1980s. So I never had the money to do that to begin with. But I have my experience, and I have the things that I read, and for what it's worth, I'll put it out there and see what people think.
Okay, thank you. You published many papers, or you've shared many papers that you've written about a variety of astronomical and astrological topics, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, right.
And also you have
they're not published. They're not. Yeah, they're not published. One is just one. But that's it. That was with the American Federation of Astrologers Journal. They don't put out right now.
You've read them at conferences, however, so you've shared the information, and also you're in contact with other more celestial type of beings, more mythical type of beings, as well as the Greys. And I guess we'll get into that in another conversation.
Yeah, I have the ability to communicate with them, and they with me. And I've found that a lot of psychics don't believe that I can do these things. So, A, it makes me feel kind of alone, and B, it's like, well, then you're not bothering me, are you? what it is what it is for me. These are my experiences. These are my communications, and they've always been there since my teenage years. And I like them. You know.
Well, thank you for sharing them with us, and you've opened the door to many questions, and you've given us all a lot to think about and try to fit into our own puzzles of what the alien mission is all about. So thank you very much, Pamela.
You're welcome.
Carol, Pamela said Carol sent an email. I didn't get it, that she's not going to be joining us tonight. So we have the luxury of asking each other questions. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask any of the speakers? Paul?
Well, I just want to say that Pamela sounds like she's a victim of angel stops. During my time as a during my time as a 97 Bravo intelligence analyst for military intelligence, 501st Military Intelligence over in Seoul, Korea, I was friends with a ROC major. ROC is the Republic of Korea major. And I don't know if he was BSing me or telling me the truth, but he said that the military was in cahoots for a while with Greys, and they were allowing the Greys to do angel stops, abduct certain amount of people, and in exchange, we would receive some technology from these aliens. Well, the aliens, they overexceeded with their abductions. They went over the quota. And at that time, the military and the Greys had a little skirmish. And they broke off their little contract of doing this and doing that. So it sounds like Pamela, I mean, if that major was telling me,
that was in 1953 that I got chipped, when I was 3 years old.
Yeah, and it sounds like, yeah, you were a victim of angel stops.
My whole family got chipped, but I'm the only one who knows it.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask anybody else, or any comments they'd like to make concerning what somebody else had said?
I do have a question about the Urantia book. Which part of that, because I have the book myself, deals with the space gods?
Well, I would say that the whole Urantia book in its entirety deals with space gods. There are many different, as Hercules mentioned when he was when we were talking about it, even tonight, that there are a lot of different entities on a lot of different levels that are doing a lot of different things in the grand universe administration. I mean, there are several types of angels. There are several types of celestial administrators, celestial creators. Some of them are born in paradise. Some of them are born on lower levels and are ascending. So there are a lot of different quote unquote space gods. I mean, there are Adams and Eves in many different governments throughout our local universe and many other local universes within the grand universe. And the material sons, in short, they're here. What they do is they try to upstep our evolution, and they even get personally involved with us, and they interbreed, with humans to upstep them to, to the blue race, and eventually, the higher races and things like that. So they're, and they even say each person here on the earth, has a couple of different sets of angels. I guess you could call space gods. So they're all throughout the whole Urantia book from beginning to end. And I mean, part 4 is the life and teachings of Jesus. And according to the Urantia book, he's a space god who bestowed on the earth, to help us in our prayers.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Pam, for the question. Tim had a question that we need to.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually it was almost exactly what Pam was wanting to know, except I didn't have a question. I was just going to say that if our listeners have never read the Urantia book, they should, because it is it's a huge book, though. I mean, you can't,
Yeah.
you can't just sit down and read it over a weekend. But
Yeah.
I highly recommend that people, find a copy and read it, because considering when it was originally written, and now the type of stuff that we're talking about on this show, it's obvious that the message that the author, messages that the author received to write this book down, it's resonating, throughout history.
Yeah. It's 1955, published in 1955 by the Urantia Foundation, Chicago, Illinois. It was through Dr. William Sadler and his wife, and actually the nieces and nephews of John Harvey Kellogg. John Harvey Kellogg being the protege of Ellen G. White. Ellen G. White being the protege of William Miller, and the Millerites, who talked about Christ Michael, as a matter of fact. So, there's a narrative out there about how the Urantia book was created. That's a whole other topic that goes into like a sleeping subject who was trance channeling. He was a medical patient of William Sadler. There's a whole narrative there. But my wife and I have done lots and lots of personal research and other research, and we find that it goes back to the Seventh-day Adventists and even before to the Millerites. But I mean, the information that Ellen G. White was getting, even as a Seventh-day Adventist, some of her secret information, secret teachings that John Harvey Kellogg was, sharing with some of the inner circle of the ministers in the Seventh-day Adventist church and community. She visited different worlds. She talked to a lot of different beings. She talked to whom she called the Father or the Lord, every day. So there's a lot there, not just in the content of the Urantia book, but the history. But you're right, it takes a while to read and digest, but it's really well worth it, because I believe it gives a really great structure of the cosmic hierarchy, the cosmic administration. I mean, it's general, of course. It's very, very general and very basic structure, but I think it's really great. I think you're right. Thank you.
And Michael has held positions of responsibility within the Urantia book community, and prolific writer looking to get published. And he's also a musician of great talent who sings many spiritual songs. Well,
thanks, Hercules.
My pleasure, and I've been honored to share your creativity by your sharing it with me. And let's see if we can get music. Once I figure out how to share music on Zoom, we'll share your songs and do a show about that. I want to thank everybody.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Hercules, I have a question for you. Have you been to Greece?
Yes, many times when I was younger.
Okay.
My childhood, I went back again when I was in my early 30s.
Oh, my sister's been to Athens, and she lived on Santorini Island for 5 years. With 5 years with her first husband, who was an archaeologist. That there was a name for it. A person who investigates the waters around Greece, sort of like an archegologist, but there was a name for it. Yeah. And that's awesome. That's what her husband did. Yeah.
Santorini's on my bucket list, but I wasn't able to get to Santorini. I went to Crete a few times. I'm a Lemnian Greek. Lemnos is the island adjacent to the Argonauts where they found the Amazon women. and I share this with everybody. And I ran into somebody's writings in ancient Rome that talked about the Lemnians, and he says the Lemnians will tell you that about it being the island that the Argonauts landed on with a woman. So I guess that's a tradition I've been carrying on since antiquity, and I'm passing the story along now. How can people get in contact with you, Tim? We'll start with Tim, and then we'll go around.
Sure. Well, if you want to read my books, probably the best way would be to find them on Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Tim R. Swartz, and they'll all come tumbling out for your reading pleasure, both print and ebooks. Our most recent book, which I think Hercules and Paul and Michael contributed chapters for, is called Weird Time: Exploring the Mysteries of Time and Space. And you can find out more about it at its website, which is weirdtimebook.com. And if you want to email me, you can find me at trswartz@gmail.com. It's probably the best way.
You listen to and see Tim on a variety of paranormal platforms, some of them very visible, like Ancient Aliens, which was recently. Paul
Thanks, Hercules.
Dale Roberts, my pleasure. How can people contact? And before I forget, you're invited. I'm going to do a show on Jack Kirby and the Eternals, and the contrasted with the New Gods. So you're definitely invited for that one.
Oh yeah. Hercules and I, we discovered that we were comic book geeks. So he knows everything about comic books like I do. It's amazing. Also, too, I have a real fast question for Tim. Tim has another book coming out, and Tim didn't mention that.
Yeah, well, it's still a work in progress. So I keep these books close, very close to my vest until they're really close to being ready to be published. But yeah, we're always working on a new book, but we've got one that is hopefully it'll come out by this summer.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, how you can contact me? Very simple. I have articles and books all over the place. Just Google or Bing my name, Paul Dale Roberts, and you'll find my books, you'll find my articles, and in each one of my articles, you'll find my telephone number and my email address. But if you want to not do all that, my email is jazmaonline@gmail.com. JAZMAONLINE@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to be submitting something else to Tim's new book. I've been working on it, so just let you know that's still a work in progress.
Oh, fantastic. I can't wait to read it.
Michael Duncan, how can people enter your world?
Well, thank you again, Hercules, and thank you guys. This has been really, really wonderful for me, and it came at a perfect time for me. So thank you all. It was very lovely to be with you. I just want you to know that. And so I have my wife and I, my dear departed wife, and I have a YouTube channel. We have over 130 videos of our celestial team meetings, our songs, our paintings, and things like that. It's called Michael and Diane, and it's MichaelAndDianne, Dunkin, Dunkin. That's our YouTube channel. And I have, as Hercules said about my songs, I have 5 albums and an EP on all download sites, Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify. You just Google Reverend Michael Duncan and you'll find those. And then my email is michaelduncan1@hotmail.com. And I'm in the published book to be club. I'm writing a book, as Hercules kind of mentioned. It's called The League of Azure Blue Angels. and it talks about my experience with our most recent angelic visitors, and also announcing that the Father, also known as Zeus, is going to be coming on April 13th, 2026, to give the whole world a new message and bring them closer to him. So I'm looking forward to finishing the book, which is a little more than halfway done. But those are the ways you can contact me.
Thank you very much. Setna Kamost of Khemet.
Yes.
Michael Waterman.
You can get me, folks, very easily on Facebook at Michael K. Waterman. You can get me in Instagram or Facebook at the Pernateru Temple, which is my temple. You can also find me on Phone Wizard, which is my services, my paranormal and metaphysical services. You can reach me by phone, which is 516-650-3691. It's my phone number that I've had about 30 years. Or you can get me at mkwaterman@icloud.com.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and I have one question for Tim. Can I ask you if my chapter made it in?
Oh, absolutely. You were one of the first ones, you and Hercules, who
Oh my
submitted for
goodness.
the
Well,
book. So, oh yeah,
I'm very
yeah.
honored. Thank you, Tim.
Uh,
I'm kind of very pink, tickled pink. I also want to mention one other thing. I'm about to become a great uncle. My nephew called me just now, about an hour ago. I'm so excited, and
Congratulations.
yeah,
Congratulations.
first grandchild in the family, so I'm really excited. I mean, you can't count Oliver, right?
You can.
Sure you can.
My cat, yes.
Well, again, congratulations and thank you for being here today and sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Pamela Joy Fernsler.
Hi.
Hi, how can people contact you or enter your world? If you don't want to share information, you could just have them contact you through me.
That's just PJFERNSLER at outlook.com. That's pretty much it.
Perfect. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, whatever you happen to celebrate, and reiterate what Michael had said. What I learned from each and every one of you, each and every time we speak, and I'm delighted when somebody says something that breaks my firm way of looking at things and gives me another way to look at things. So I think these conversations have great value, even though we might not have all the answers, but we're asking the right questions and we're sharing our perspectives, and it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And I thank you all for that more than words can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Hercules.
Blessings all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
God bless
Hercules.
you.
My pleasure, and thank you. Bye-bye.